Most marketers want to use AI tools, but they either don't have the time to learn how to use them, or they get disappointed with results like this. Yes, this is an image I got from an AI generator. In this video, I'll show you the top AI tools for data analysis, presentations, image generation, research, and landing page creation. These tools can save you more than 10 hours per week, and they don't require complicated onboarding or a steep learning curve. And let's start with data analysis. Let's face it, analyzing marketing performance data is an extremely time-consuming task, especially if you have a small marketing team. So the tool I recently discovered is called Julius, and honestly, it's been a game changer. So here's how it works. You just create a free account, and that gives you up to 15 prompts per day. So what's really convenient is that you can connect to your Google Drive and just simply drop any file into Julius directly. Now, yes, technically you can upload files into ChatGPT too, but here's the difference that I noticed. So when I give ChatGPT a file and then continue with some, follow-up queries, it kind of sometimes forgets about the original file, but Julius really doesn't. For example, I uploaded a dummy data set with some keyword performance. So my first question was, which queries have the highest CTR? So within seconds, Julius gave me a neat table with the results. ChatGPT, on the other hand, gave me just a bullet point list. Yes, it's still useful, but not nearly as actionable. So then I asked, which blog post or page is bringing in the most clicks? So Julius pulled the data, did some Python magic in the background, and instantly generated a clear table. So what I really love about the tool is the automated suggestions that Julius gives you after each query. So instead of just staring at the data and just wondering what's next, Julius actually suggests questions like, what SEO recommendations can I get for low CTR pages? And the answers, incredibly comprehensive. So I got a list of 10 super actionable SEO improvements right away. On top of that, Julius is super powerful for visualization. For example, I asked it to create a simple bar chart with some top performing queries in terms of CTR, and it generated a clear, professionally looking chart instantly. Now let's move on to another area where marketers waste a ton of time, and this is presentations. Let's face it, no one really has time to prep yet another deck. So summarizing all your marketing thoughts, campaign results, or strategies into a polished presentation is usually the very last thing on your list. And honestly, I know that it's often done at the very last minute. That's exactly where Gamma comes in. So Gamma is an AI-powered tool that can take all your messy notes and instantly turn them into a clean, professional-looking deck, literally in seconds. So I was tasked with presenting a B2B marketing strategy. So I drafted my rough notes into Notion. Nothing fancy, just, bullet points and scattered ideas. I then dropped all of those notes into Gamma. Literally within seconds, it generated a deck that looked polished and ready to present. So I could either export it into a traditional format like PowerPoint or simply present directly inside the tool. Now, if I had to do this manually, it would take me at least 2 to 3 hours, formatting the text, putting everything together, making it into a somewhat visually pleasing deck. And with Gamma, all of that was done in moments. And obviously, as you can see, this was something that I wouldn't be ashamed of presenting. Now, let's talk about another headache every marketer faces is the design briefs. Creating a proper design brief takes forever. And by the way, here's an important disclaimer before we dive in. I don't believe that AI tools are going to replace all designers soon, at least in the foreseeable future, but they can really help us marketers create very detailed briefs fast and cut down on all of those back and forth. So the tool I've been testing for this is called Nano Banana. So here's the problem that it solves. So when you ask your designer for something like a website banner, yes, you can get ChatGPT to write a detailed and text-based brief, but 9 times out of 10, the designer will come back with an extra request. Can you also send me a reference? And that's where Nano Banana comes in handy. So here's how I would use it. First, I asked ChatGPT to write a prompt for Nana Banana. The key is to keep it under 1,000 characters, otherwise the tool just won't accept it. So then I just drop that into Nana Banana, and in seconds I get a visual reference that I can send to my designer. Now, are the images perfect? No. Honestly, they can look a little rough, but even so, they give your designer a much clearer sense of, what's expected. And with the basic plan that costs, as you can see, $12 per month, you can generate up to 75 images per month and save at least 1 hour per week looking for references. Let's talk about another struggle for marketers, and this is research. When it comes to running all sorts of marketing research, I think a lot of marketers underestimate the power of combining different LLMs, and I'm speaking particularly about ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. So the issue that I see is that a lot of marketers use LLMs as sort of, juniors, as quick assistants. And instead, if marketers got to try and turn LLMs into an actual virtual partner and an advisor, the game will be completely different. Let me show you an example. Imagine I just joined a B2B SaaS startup as the head of marketing. So the product targets CTOs in mid-market companies, and I just need to figure out which paid acquisition channels are the most effective for this type of audience. So here's what I would do. I run the same query in all three tools, right? ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini. And I don't just ask what channels should I use. Instead, I go deeper. So I ask them to include benchmarks on CPC, suggested budgets, common ad formats, and some examples of 5 successful campaigns in this space. So here's what I found most interesting when I compared the 3 tools. So ChatGPT for that question gave me a very structured framework. It outlined what could be the most efficient channels for this B2B SaaS startup, right? So Google Search, LinkedIn, and Reddit. Perplexity and Gemini, on the other hand, both of them emphasized that LinkedIn should be the #1 channel. And they didn't just say it, they also backed it up with reasons. Gemini actually went even further. It didn't just list all the paid channels, it suggested strategic sponsorships with niche tech publications, plus opportunities to sponsor or participate in communities and conferences where CTOs are most active. So I can sort of combine all of this together and turn it into one coherent strategy, and I get this sort of 360 view. And as a result of combining all of those 3 tools, I actually used a real virtual advisor. Normally, that same research would take me, I would say, around 1 business day. And with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity, it took me from 5 to 10 minutes. Now, finally, let's talk about landing pages. Normally, creating a landing page takes ages, right? First, you sort of outline the concept, then you create the copy, then you put it all together as a brief for your UX designer, then you send that entire thing to your builder for actually building that out. In today's world, this is unnecessary. So with Framer, you can literally create landing pages in minutes. So if you're a small, scrappy startup without a lot of resources and you need to test multiple landing page variations, for example, with different copy, Framer will help you do that in seconds. So you can simply ask the tool to generate a landing page outline and then populate it with a copy that works best for your business. And as you can see, it's done in seconds. And you can go even further, actually. So for example, I asked Framer to add a few testimonials in the layout and it generated them instantly. Then I asked for an FAQ section right before the testimonials. And again, it was done in seconds. So instead of spending at least a few days coordinating with a designer, with a copywriter, with a builder, I used, again, just 5 minutes and everything was done in Framer. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more marketing tips that actually work today. And for some reason, YouTube thinks that this next video would be super interesting to you. So continue watching that.